Every day of your working life holds the potential for promise, for success and satisfaction, for camaraderie, for celebration. But when you work with huge, powerful, fast-moving machines, every day of your working life also holds the potential for injury. Skin-ripping, bone-crushing, life-altering injury. Will today be the day? The day when you momentarily forget the safety rules.
I didn't see the net roll, so I decided to grab paper and feed it to myself. Did what I used the tool to do it.
The day when you fall victim to a bad habit.
So when I did that, I automatically, without even thinking, put my hand on that bulb.
The day when you make a deadly assumption.
I assumed it because it was broke, it was not running.
The day when you're in too big a rush to go home.
And I really wasn't thinking about safety at that time anyway. I wanted to get out of there.
The day when your family gets the call that changes everything.
The guys at work called and said we brought Kelly in. He's been injured really bad, he's burned.
Will today be the day when a split-second decision impacts the rest of your life?
I was trying to force that paper into that nip point, and it kind of grabbed my hand and pulled me out.
Instead of hitting the north button, I hit the west button.
Once I put the paper in the nip field, I grabbed my finger and snatched it right down.
When I reached in and I pressed the what I thought was the second valve, I reached a little bit too far and caught the motor that had the timing belt on it. And it carried my finger and hand through that timing pulley.
He was threading tappstock through a press, and the tappstock was coming out of the lane downs. I yelled for the mechanic to stop, wait for me to, just wait a minute. And he didn't hear me. I didn't find out he didn't hear me until it was too late. I didn't want anything to happen to my right hand because I'm right-handed. Therefore, that's why I stuck using my left hand. And I stuck it up to push the stock down. And that's when I got my fingers in between the kiss blocks. So when the kiss blocks come down, it just like a knife, just cut them off.
And they think I knew I had a slip. They got caught in between the rug. To this day, I don't know how my hand got where it got to, but it got between the roll and the field.
My arm was actually pinned up against the dryer itself, which is 360 degrees. And I got held in there, and actually was pulling me in, and I'm fighting it back. And there's two other guys that wrapped themselves around my waist to help pull me back, and couldn't do it.
And they pulled me right around and pulled the arm out and crushed my rib, broke my rib down this side.
I kept pulling and pulling. I finally got it out, and I fell back against the wall. And I stood in and I looked at it. I knew my hand was going in. I didn't have no flush on it from pin on down.
I walked over halfway across the plant. And at that point, I guess I went in shock. And I passed out.
See, it was cut wide open and down to the bone. The cuts were hanging out.
But the skin, it was ripped apart.
I got slammed up against the machine where I had stitches in my head. Up on my bicep, I have a feeling that every time that I would pull back, it would slam up against the machine again, and it would create a new burn. And I looked at it, and I saw with all the skin. I thought I lost it. If I see some white, I thought that's oh man, it's the bone.
So I just pulled my hand out, and there I see 3 bare knuckles. My fingers were gone.
And the blade entered at an angle, hit the bone, and then slid down the bone.
Well, they had go in here, cut back open, and like a puzzle, and then drill some holes and put some pins in there.
When they cut the arm guard off, a lot of skin came with it.
By the time I got to the hospital, I mean, it looked like I had a gunshot wound in my hand, like I was missing something.
I had that finger in my hand like this. And then when they took the x-ray, they didn't take the towel off. And then they just come on, what is this? They said, well, that's one of my fingers. And the doctor says, well, if I can find something to sew on, I'll put it back on.
The doctor looked a little more panicked than when, which actually made me look panicked. He took a scalpel and actually ran one right down the forearm. He says all your blood vessels were cauterized.
While they was doing an operation on my fingers, they put like two fruit jars of bone out of the end of my fingers, where it just shattered and went into my hand like a shotgun went off.
My whole top body was black. I was hurt so bad. My whole body was hurt.
It was throbbing, cut pain.
They were giving me morphine for the pain, which didn't do anything.
When it started healing up, that's when the real pain comes in.
And they took skin grafts from my body, put them on the arm, and they didn't take. And I didn't understand what that meant, but he says, there's so much dead tissue here.
When you go to that therapy, I mean, they torture you. It's like a torture chamber. And I went back to the doctor and I says, these nurses are killing me. And then he said, well, then don't go back. But you won't get any better.
So for a while, where they took the skin graft off, it was a little more painful than the arm itself.
Oh, it was horrible. When you went to, I wish I could have taken the pain away.
Even now, after 30-some years after it happened, in the cold, they'll throb sometimes.
What really hurt, I mean, it even made me cry when I went to the doctor after a couple of months. I wanted to get back to work. I said, Doc, I says, I'm ready to go back to work. And he says, give me your hand. I put it out like that and he grabs it. I go like that. He says, you ain't going to work.
And this was right after my son was born. He was born in July. This happened in November. So I'm thinking, what's going to happen? Am I going to have a job once I get back to work? What's going to happen to my family?
If the guy wants to really know what it's like, take your hand to your side once and live a day with like that, or both. It would change your way of thinking.
I mean, I just remember being like very worried about his health. That it was his dominant hand.
I almost didn't want to do my job anymore. I was almost frightened of doing my job, of something happening again.
And it must be scary when you have to go back to a job after you've been out for 5 months.
I think the first time I jumped up there and I do the same job, they call it elevator arms. I was a little touchy. I wouldn't reach in quite as far.
You get where you rub down your nubs to make it feel better because of the nerves. The doctor calls it ghost pain.
The sense of touch, if I touch the arm, he doesn't feel it. So that bothered me.
I think the biggest thing that ran through my mind was, what am I going to tell my boss? Because why can't I go back to work tonight? I'm going to have to explain to him that, with an object that I use every day, that I just, slice my thumb all the way open.
Was he now going to be like tarnished, like a mark against his name, unsafe worker?
And that was probably the worst part of the whole deal. The financial part of it.
I was off for work for 6 months. And when I came back, it was late duty type things.
Financially, you don't make a lot of money on workman's comp. It was a challenge.
I really wanted to get back to my regular job, but I didn't know whether they're going to give it back to me with one arm or not.
We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars here just for your thumb.
Safety is very important, and you get rewarded. Everybody gets rewarded for having a good, when someone gets hurt, bye-bye reward.
It changes a lot. I mean, everything you do, every daily job you do, simple things, tie your shoe, try to do that with one hand. It can't be done.
I call it the dumb hand because it doesn't know how to do nothing.
And usually I can take my knife and kind of, cut a steak up. But today I couldn't do it.
Everything was hard. Everything was, I drop things with this hand. It doesn't really know the pressure to put on a cup.
It's hard for me to write on a small piece of paper. So I can't hold it too good with my prosthesis.
Do you think it's just going to go in the dishwasher and it actually just drops.
I had a hard time pulling my own pants up, let alone changing my son's diaper, or picking him up to play.
One of the first things I had to learn is right after I lost the fingers is, I had a stick transmission in my truck. So I had to cross over like this, hold on, shift like that. It's quite difficult.
I still have a problem button shirt, especially when you got certain type of buttons.
Fishing, I have a problem with like the landing net, trying to, I can't handle it right. Usually if I do use this hand, I gotta brace it underneath my arm to get it, and I try with my left hand, it's clumsy. So I used to be out on water every day fishing. I very seldom go anymore.
They told me I couldn't go bow hunting anymore. I wouldn't have the strength in my arm, especially when I lost the tendon.
And like hunting, deer hunting, I can't take the cold out there. Even with mittens on, it's just unbearable. They get so cold, numb. Actually, it's like a burning sensation. It hurts.
I don't work in cars anymore either, so it was a level of my life, and now it's not there anymore.
I love bowling. I used to bowl 3 nights a week. I can't bowl. I've tried it. I can't get the grip on the ball right. I can't bowl with my left hand.
It takes a toll on not just the management group, but it takes a toll on the operators, the friends, the family, and it's something that's really all-encompassing.
If you get hurt, it's not just you that get hurt. It'll affect the people that you work with, who work with you on a daily basis. When you work with someone on a daily basis, you automatically get establish a bond. I know what you're going to do, and you know what I'm going to do. If you're not there, it kind of throws me off. It's a difficult thing to do, to be at the hospital with an individual that's been injured, and to know that they're hurting or in pain as a result of a mistake or something that they shouldn't have done, or they're worried about their job or their bonus or what their wife's going to say, or the outcome.
It's not just about them, the person that's hurt. It's not. It affects the whole family.
I thought she's gonna see me and she's gonna break apart.
And when I got there, when I first saw his arm, the skin was just hanging there. So, but I didn't break down in front of him.
You're just worried your life kind of stops.
Your mind is the first tool. If you're conscious and aware of what you're doing, these will always be there. If you take your mind off what you're doing, you can easily lose these.
The machines aren't going to feel sorry for you if something happens. So the big thing is just keeping your mind right and not getting complacent with what you're doing.
If you slow down and just take an extra split second, you stay out of harm's way.
Nobody's ever going to get upset with you for making a choice that you think is right based on safety.
You kind of try to bend the rules a little bit, and you learn in the long run that's just not very smart to do.
Well, the rules are there for a reason. One reason is because we don't want you lined up like me with lost limbs. Because there are things here in this plant that can hurt you bad.
Don't put your hands nowhere. Keep your eyes on them all the time.
Well, I can tell you, when you're working on a piece of equipment, you want to make sure it's not working when you work on it.
Always a result, not locking something out.
And you have any question whatsoever about safety, ask. And even if you have a slight inkling that it might be unsafe, stop what you're doing and ask.
Yeah, obviously, safety is very important.
If somebody needs an eye opener, if this is the kind of lifetime tattoo they want, I would advise it.
I thought it would never happen to me, but it did. So I tell them, they knew just like this right here. They can look at this right here. And let me tell you, don't say it won't never happen to you. But I see the same thing. I never get caught in a paper machine. And I got caught. And this is the results of it right here.
May 19th, 1995 was the day for Lee Mack. April 10th, 1993 was the day for Glenn Westfall. February 8th, 1996 was the day for Kelly Birkin. April 5th, 1999 was the day for Jimmy Lyles. January 19th, 2006 was the day for Sean Dressman. January 27th, 2006 was the day for Tony Ingerson. November 19th, 1974 was the day for Michael Whittington. November 27th, 2005 was the day for Curtis Caraway. And May 8th, 2004 was the day for Ernie Kratzler. But with your attention, care, and reverence for safety, neither this nor any other day of your working career will be the day for you.
Hey, baby doll. Tell Mommy I'm on the way home. Yes, sweet. I promise I'll drive safe. Love you.
All right, now obviously you guys don't work in a paper plant or a power plant or anything like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't sustain the similar type injuries as they do. You know, we're talking about getting burned, lost limbs, broken bones, so on and so forth. And use their experiences, use these stories whenever you're working out in the field, and think about what happened to them and how could it affect you. Think about everything that goes along with getting injured. I mean, everything basically that they said in there. You've got the actual physical pain that you have to go through. You've got the financial situation as well. If you sustain a real serious injury where you're out of work for 5 to 6 months and you're on workers' comp, it really doesn't pay all that much. 66 2/3% of whatever you're making. And for some of us, that's just not enough. And you have to also think about everybody else that's involved in your life. And you think about, okay, your coworkers, if you're not there, if you're used to working with someone and you guys are basically like partners hand in hand, or you got a crew and you're down 1, 2 people because they're injured, you know, that makes things a little bit more difficult for them because they got to pick up the slack. Things don't run as efficiently. And when you think about your families, you know, it's, if you don't want to be safe for yourselves, we've all got families. You know, at least be safe for them. And I'm not saying that you guys aren't safe. I'm just trying to get you to continue to be safe. You know, they depend on us. And if we're not there to put, you know, food on the table, who is? Who's going to pick up the slack there? So there's much more involved in whenever you get into an accident, whenever you get hurt, it just throws you into a whole slew of problems that you don't even want to deal with. So let's not let the day be your day any day. Any questions? Thank you.